Hey, what's going on? Firstly, thank you for joining me today. Secondly, I know I do this a lot, but I want to apologize again for the lack of content on the not only just posted on the page in general, but also on the type of content. The vlogs have just been kind of convenient to be able to take a camera with me and set it up. But when I created this page, I wanted to focus more on kind of the skills, the techniques, some of the equipment reviews, some of the stuff that I was looking for in a YouTube channel that I maybe hadn't seen so much prior. So at this point, consider this video at this particular moment the pivot from the vlog fun to the brass tacks of what it really does take to be an outdoorsman. So like I was saying, one of the features I really wanted to have on this page for a while is gear. Both the impression, the unboxing, and then the field review, if you will, after I've had some hands-on time with that, new piece of equipment or whatever it is I happen to be looking at that particular time. So without further ado, I'd like to open the first Vermont Outdoorsman Gear Series video with my first impression of some new arrows. So I cheated a little bit, and I apologize. There's no big unboxing, unveiling, or anything like that. But I wanted to get these out, get them built, and put together before archery season this past season. So sorry, but just pretend there's a box. Ta-da! There it is. It's a new arrow. It's the Quake series arrow from Element Archery. Element Archery is a newer company in the archery world, started in 2012 by Chris Rager, who has a few other notable archery companies to his name. The Element brand specifically is an offshoot company of Flying Arrow Archery. It's known for some of their broadheads. Element specifically is focused on arrow technology purely since then. I think they've got like 10 or 11 different arrows in their lineup now with, the arrow for basically any shooter out there from what I've seen. Your rookies to your experts, your 3D archery shooter, your hobbyist, your hunter, all the way up to your Olympic archer, including crossbow bolts now. So they've got a wide range of products out there. So let's spin you guys around and jump right in. So here is the Quake Series arrow from Element Archery. It is a standard size diameter, which depending on who you ask is either 2.44 or 2.46. I've been using gold tip components on this arrow. I've had no issues with it. I run nocturnals and inserts from them. They've worked great for me to this point in time. The carbon weave is allegedly more robust than a traditional carbon arrow we're probably all used to at this point in time. I've yet to test that for myself and find out, but it's what I've read and what I've heard. This arrow specifically is just the upscaled version of Element's Typhoon arrow. That was their first carbon weave arrow on the market, but that was a micro diameter opposed to the standard diameter. The Quake arrows are all .001 straightness, so they're comparable to any other pro-grade arrow you might find on the market. In 300 spine, this arrow weighs 10.1 grains per inch, which is about 2.5 grains heavier than my previous arrow. So a big difference for me in that one going to a heavier arrow build. So looking at the back of the arrow, they come pre-fletched with the 2-inch blazer vane, which is industry standard at this point in my opinion. The vanes have approximately a 1 degree helical to them from the factory. You can choose to have arrows sent to you bare shaft if you'd like. I think there's usually a cost difference of like $8 or $10 on that one. It's cheaper to get bare shaft, obviously. I opted not to fletch my own this time. I've never done it before and didn't think my first true arrow build was a great time to be doing that, but at some point in the future, I'm sure I'll probably get into it. Knock-wise, just a standard knock that matches the diameter of the arrow. You won't feel bad ripping this out and throwing in your favorite lighted knock. Not a whole lot to be said about the front of the arrow. All arrows shipped from Element come with an insert that will fit that arrow of that diameter. You can use that or get some different ones of your preference. Standard diameter arrow, obviously standard diameter insert. Some of the micro diameter ones come with a half out, so it'll come into the arrow just like an insert here, but have kind of a larger flange section so you can fit whatever size broadhead you want to put in that. Some of them also come with sleeve or outserts as they're called. But again, that's all up to be dictated by the diameter of your arrow. Alright, so first impressions. I really like the carbon weave. I think it has the potential to be a functional aesthetic. Like I said, I haven't tested anything yet to prove that these are more robust than a true carbon weed or a true carbon arrow. Maybe at some point I'll just fire a couple of them into a block of wood and we'll see what we end up with. But for now, we're going to go with it looks good. The labeling and the logoing on them, I think it looks good. It's clean. So the stickers are well applied. I don't have any fear of these peeling off on a pass-through. I've sent a handful of these arrows pretty well up to and past the sticker at this point. Plus they slide through your arrow rest every time you let one go, and I see none of that on any of the arrows so far. I know that is a concern for some folks with some of their arrows, and they actually pre-peel the stickers and the labeling off them. But I have no interest or issue with what I see here or doing that to this point. They're much more rigid than my previous arrows. The 300 spine from a 340 is a noticeable difference, I'll say. I was almost concerned when I was ordering them based on the specs I was building to. I thought I was going to have to go to a 250, but I was advised to go with the 300 based on the length of my arrow. So like I said, I'm not worried about that either, but it's just a noticeable difference when you're swapping brands, how they might have different specs for what they measure their spines to. In terms of actually ordering your arrows, like I've already said, you can get them bare shaft or you can get them fletched with the blazer vanes. Those are your only options there. For length, you can get a arrow blank, which I believe is 31 inches, and that's straight off, the ream or the weave, if you will, of the arrow material. You can get them cut down to 25 inches is the shortest length in increments of 1/8 of an inch. So they do give you the ability from the factory to basically micro-tune your arrow to your bow or to your draw length for whatever your preference is there. It was not the cleanest cut, I'll say, at either end of the arrow when I first took them out of the box, so I picked up a cheap arrow square just to square up the ends of the arrows. I highly recommend everyone do that before they put an arrow together. A square arrow is a straight arrow, and a straight arrow is on target, right? You want to remove as many variables as possible from that. If your knot could be twisted a little sideways or something, or your broadhead might have a wing on it that's twisted funny, it'll cause the arrow to arc in its shot, which you don't want. So like I said, cheap arrow square, $25 online. Some people have said you can make one out of a 4x4 and some sandpaper. Could it be done? Definitely. Did I just want to take the user or opportunity for error out of it as much as I could? Yes, I did. Shipping wise, they do great at that. I received my arrows in 5 days, I think it was, and that's going from central US to the Green Mountain State on the East Coast. There's folks who live more toward Element's distributor who have said they've gotten their arrow in as few as 2 days or even next day, depending on when their order's placed. So it looks like Element really has that figured out as well. All in all, I hope to really like this arrow. Going from a 300 or a 340 to a 300 spine, not that big a change in terms of spine, but it does create a much stiffer arrow than what I was expecting for how small that change is in the big picture. It definitely doesn't feel like it's going to shatter if it gets fired into a tree or into a 2x4 or something. Not that that ever happens. My build, personally, with these arrows is about 160 grains heavier than my previous arrow and 3 inches shorter. So it did take a fair bit of work to get my bow tuned to handle this arrow. That was a cool process too, though, and they shoot great as of now. But I definitely don't want to get into too much of the review stuff until I really get some time, and the fact that I was supposed to record this video 6 or 8 months ago also doesn't help. But anyway, we'll get back to that. So one final thing I'd like to add real quick. I know we're running a bit long for an unboxing and the first impression of a carbon stick, if you will. But it relates to the future of the page. So I also want to do some learning with you guys, not just teaching you. So I don't know a lot about archery. I was, knee-high on a grasshopper when I shot my first bow, and really just got into it about 3 years ago now. So I'm excited for that, too. But like I said, there's a lot to learn out there. Archery is very unique compared to rifle hunting. So to do that, I picked up these guys right here. This is the Tornado Series arrow from Element Archery. This is a standard carbon shaft arrow, probably what most of you shoot out there now. These are a standard diameter as well, 0.001 straightness. These are 300 spines, which I think is 8.1 grains per inch. So again, like I said, really similar to some other notable companies out there. The straightness of these, you can't get them in .001 anymore. The Tornadoes are all .003. I got these as part of a demo run that was kind of a precursor to a new line that Archery has since released from when I bought these. But like I said, I want to use these as a testing platform. We'll throw some different vanes on there. We'll try 3 versus 4 fletch, some of the more gimmicky ones to see what they're about. We'll play with some weights, you know, change the front of center to see how that affects arrow flight. We can try some different broadheads probably and see how those do. So yeah, I'd really like to just use these as kind of a playground to educate myself and then share that knowledge with you guys on what I learn. So all that said now, we're going to call this one a wrap. So stay tuned for my formal review of the Quakes, which should be coming out pretty shortly here. We'll do a build spec video of my Quakes personally, on what I use and why I made the decisions I did. We'll talk about the Tornado series arrows when I start playing with those. And we'll probably even put together a video on how you can build your own arrows if you have any interest in doing that as well. So, that said, we're done. Until next time, I'm Adrian, the Vermont Outdoorsman. Thanks for watching.